Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation to come and talk about heart rhythm detection in our story. First, I just wanted to let you know that I did go through my slide deck and took out all the American spelling variants so you wouldn't be distracted. So hopefully you'll go along with that. Before I start, how many of you may have ever worn a device called, a heart monitoring device called a Holter monitor? Anybody willing to put their hands up? Okay. And can I surmise that that experience probably wasn't very pleasant? No. And what we've also come to know is that it actually doesn't work really well because you curtail all your activity. You don't go live your life. You basically are controlled by a monitor that's taking over your life. So what I'm here to tell you about is just a little bit about the next generation, and just a little update on iRhythm technologies and what we call the ZO service. And what's being passed around is actually a heart monitor called the ZO patch. So I'd like to tell you a bit about our story. As you have heard today, this has been a great connection between academia, industry, and research. And iRhythm actually came from Stanford's University of Biodesign program in 2006. This picture is actually, I don't know if you can really appreciate that in the back, but that's an oyster shell with an iRhythm ZO patch sitting in the middle of it. And we've actually been considered one of the most successful companies to come out of Stanford's University Biodesign program. And the reason for that, and as a clinician, what I firmly believe is that it's because it was born out of an unmet clinical need. It was not technology looking for an application, but rather that this was a need that we needed to do something about the way hearts were being monitored worldwide. And I've had the pleasure of being on board with iRhythm for over 9 years, and to be on board when it was a concept. And we didn't even have the idea that that monitor that's coming to you would actually, anybody would wear it, and that anybody would want to wear it for up to 14 days. And then goodness, what do you do with that much data? And how can you use that data to further learn and further understand what is happening with arrhythmias? So let's give it a little bit more. So what does this mean? And again, I spoke earlier this morning that it's a biosensor, and really it stopped there in the old days of traditional monitoring, that if you think about a Holter monitor, it was created during the time of the rotary phone. Now, I bet everybody in here today doesn't have a rotary phone in their pocket. We all have iPhones, and medical technology in this particular diagnostic area really wasn't innovating. And so you can see we've really changed that paradigm and really disrupted. So the biosensor, we then use powerful analytics sitting on cloud computing platforms. And again, all that data is de-identified when the analysis is underway. And then a clinically actionable report is created and electronically sent to the physician, or a notice is sent to the physician or their designee to come and take a look at that data. But it doesn't stop there. We then go in and do very similar to what Biobank is doing in trying to aggregate this experience. We're doing it in a very deep way with really understanding the pattern of arrhythmias or heart rhythm disorders. So we take patient data sources. Again, we have long-term continuous monitoring where we're recording every single heartbeat. And the quality of the signal is phenomenal. We measure every patient's report to see what their signal quality is. And I'm pleased to say that in the UK Biobank feasibility study, our signal quality is really, really great. So kudos to the staff who apply devices, and kudos to the patients participants who actually are doing a great job wearing the device over time. So that patient level data comes in. We then use our analytics, our algorithms, machine learned algorithms. We're actually moving to deep learned processing as well. That data is then created into an individual report, but then also now into a large data set. We believe we have one of the largest curated or data that's been validated by humans that is available, again, to help also look at research and really answer some really interesting questions. So we've been talking since I think I first started talking to Kathy Sudlow in probably 2012 about this particular initiative, and I'm so pleased to talk about. We've done close to 1,500 participants so far. I don't know if any of you have worn the Zeo patch in the audience today. But we've been actually really pleased with how easy it is for the volunteers to use the system. And actually, I'm really pleased to say that the UK is beating the US by hands down. The UK average wear time, if you look at the participants are told to wear the device for up to 14 days. Basically, go live your life. You can shower, you can exercise. We're recording every single heartbeat as you go about and live your life. The average wear time is 12.37 days. In the US, on patients, again, these are patients, your participants, patients only average about 11 days. So I don't know what the difference is, but you're doing a great job here. And then we create this comprehensive report that really does help understand what's happening. We're also, for the first time, being able to provide back to the Biobank this raw data file. So for researchers who really want to dive into understanding that ECG pattern over time and what's really going on, it really is a phenomenal tool that will also aid and help us with understanding disease and other disease processes. So we're spending a lot of time talking about the problem of, and investigating the problem of atrial fibrillation. And I know that there's big efforts in the UK to do pulse check, know your pulse, check your pulse. So again, it's something that is very much a problem that most people don't even know that they're aware that they have atrial fib. There's what we call silent atrial fibrillation and then also symptomatic atrial fibrillation. And we are spending a tremendous amount of time, effort, resources, and collaboration to really look at population monitoring. We're here in the UK with the Biobank. We're doing another large study in the US called the ERIC study, which is looking at, again, folks in the community who are wearing the Zeo device over time. We're then going into specific disease states, and I'll talk a little bit more about these, but again, just really trying to understand and bring this new technology to all of these disease areas. So we also, again, have a lot of other studies. We have a study going with Kaiser Permanente, which is a very large, it's not a health system, it's actually a health maintenance organization, but really a leader and thinker in how is his care being delivered. And we've got some really interesting work that's going on with atrial fib and the rate of strokes that are occurring off anticoagulation. And so that work is actually coming to be finished. We have a study called MSTOP where we're focused with an insurance company to have beneficiaries self-refer for monitoring to identify, do they have silent atrial fibrillation? Can we start thinking about preventing that first stroke? And that's through better detection. We also, I'm pleased to talk about a study that it was conducted here in the UK that was just presented at the European Stroke Organization Congress in Prague in May. And in that study, they looked at the standard of care, which is currently Holter for post-stroke care, and compared it to a Zeo patch that was provided to the patients at the time of discharge. And what we found in the EPAC study is that there was an 8-fold increase in the rate of atrial fibrillation that was detected when compared to the standard of care. So again, very powerful findings that are going to be very important as we look at how do we start identifying patients who have atrial fib who may have had a stroke so that we could prevent that second stroke, because we know that second stroke is usually worse. And so again, very much committed to really understanding what does atrial fib mean clinically. Our next big project is a data project. we've turned over thousands of records to the Scripps Translational Science Institute to really understand the pattern and the characteristic of atrial fibrillation. What's the difference between men and women? What's the difference between time of day? Does AF increase at night or does AF decrease at night? Again, this is really interesting information that really has never been available at this level of detail in ambulatory subjects. And so again, we're very excited about the upcoming results. So with that, I know I was the last speaker. I stand between us and the panel and then tea and cakes. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the participants who are trying this new innovative technology. We really believe it will contribute significantly to the biobank. Thank you so much.